What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I, of course, am from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on all the social media platforms listed above directly at WiseTake.com. If you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level, we are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community designed to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day Pass is available if you want to try us out. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've got free fire DFS content, so make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, don't miss out on any of the free content we put out. Currently covering MLB slates Monday through Friday, meaning we stream live Sunday night through Thursday night with our first look right here on the YouTube. So don't miss out. We got football around the corner. Literally around the corner, right? We're like less than a month away at this point. We got some preseason action already kicking off. Good times. Good times. Baseball's getting a little wacky, getting a little wild. I know me personally, I have been a little on the cold side, on the cooler side. I told y'all last week was just a week of just last minute user errors, right? Just last minute pivots that cost myself, a lot of money. And so we're looking to get right. Just a week before that, man, for like 2-3 weeks, we had this stretch where we were just on fire. And so we're looking to right the ship. I feel like in the articles, they've been a little hit or miss for me personally. I read a court plays article at WiseTake.com where I go over tournament pictures, cash game pictures, my tournament core, the stacks I like. But the worst part is that there's been a lot of situations where maybe I wrote a team up but didn't have enough teams built to fit them in. And then that ended up being the team, right? So it seems to be somewhere in our realm, somewhere in the article, we have that. We have the right spots. It's just a matter of putting them together. It's kind of been my issue. But anyway, shout out to Chad Rink and Pat Bush, man, in the YouTube chat. Getting things rolling. I see Pat is showing Chad the ropes, man, and letting him know a little bit about what it is to be a WiseTake Nation member. Pat's been an awesome member of the WiseTake Nation, bro. We appreciate you. And yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to continue baseball. I wasn't always pumped, right? The Mets, my Mets, have fallen out of first place, and they deserve it at the moment. Now I will say this, man, we are missing Jacob deGrom. Noah Syndergaard was supposed to be back by now. He's gotten pushed back. We had Carrasco, who just now is coming back and is on a pitch limit from a torn hamstring. And listen, everybody deals with injuries. The whole league does, So Lindor's out. Not that he was having a, great situation. Great season anyway. But anyway, weekend was good though. Weekend was really, really good. Spent it with the wife and the baby, and couldn't have been better. So very thankful for that. Hopefully your weekend was good as well, whether it be in DFS, out of DFS, both together. Right? Nothing but good wishes, nothing but positive vibes to all of you. That being said, we've got so on FanDuel there's less games. So on FanDuel, the slate locks at 8:05 p.m. Eastern. On DraftKings, they added in the early game, which is the Cincinnati-Cleveland game. So lock will be at 6:10 p.m. Eastern. So obviously, if you play on FanDuel, you're going to ignore anything we say about the Cincinnati-Cleveland spot. Other than that, if you're playing on DraftKings, remember the early lock. And we'll go ahead and get started with some top pitcher action. Top pitchers. I'm going to talk some pitchers. Let me just do a little bit of dirties. Okay. Let's see. Aiden, any weather phase today? I haven't checked the weather yet. No, it's too early. I don't like checking it the night before. That's the one thing, right? Sometimes there'll be some obvious spots, but I don't like checking the weather the night before because so much shit could change. The weather. Let's see. Pat says, I hope no last minute scratches like the Phillies that killed my Phillies stack. Yeah, Odubel Herrera getting scratched. That was some bullshit right off the lock. Literally right after the game. The game was scheduled for 105. Didn't actually start to like 120, and at like 110 or 115 they announced that. That was rough. That was rough. All right. Top pitchers. We've got Freddie Peralta. Peralta's been really good, man. Highest strikeout rate on the slate. It does appear to have some regression coming in some form. You'll see he's got a 189 BABIP. The thing is, the Cubs he's playing now are pretty bad, right? They got rid of Rizzo, Bryant, Baez. They're pretty bad. But we do have some wins as of now. Now, again, going back to the weather thing, can't even rely on this. But as of right now, it's currently 10:52 p.m. Eastern. We see winds blowing out at about 10 miles an hour or so, which for Wrigley we know is just, the wind is crazy there. The power of it and how it carries things out of the stadium. So we'll keep that in mind, but I fully expect Freddie Peralta to be the cash game SP1 for most players across the board, and for good reason. Luis Castillo, a DraftKings only play. I could see him getting some love in tournaments, especially because it's the first game. We know a lot of people like to jump on that first game, and so they don't want to wait around to sweat, especially since the rest of the games don't start for 2 hours later. Cleveland obviously not good. Bobby Bradley could be injured. Their strikeout rates have definitely risen over the last few weeks or so, since they've been playing a lot of the younger players, so we want to keep that in mind. Giolito, really healthy numbers, really strong numbers. I think he may be my favorite pivot as of now from Peralta. Not to say that a little too early to say all in on Giolito, but depending on the lineup we get from the Twins can be tough to strike out. But lately, when they put in like Brent Roker, I think his name is, or Rooker, something, I don't know. When those younger guys do strike out more. All right, they don't have Nelly Cruz anymore, obviously. And this game is in Minnesota, so it's a really big park boost for Giolito. And again, it's a small slate. He's going to be owned. But I think that Peralta, maybe even Castillo on DraftKings could pull some attention away. And on FanDuel, the ownership is going to be lower just simply because there's only one pitcher. And another pitcher that I think will compete with some of that ownership on FanDuel and will most likely be the most popular SP2 is Joe Musgrove, whose numbers are really good. He himself has looked really good. He went through a little stint there where it was a little shaky, right? But he looks like he's correcting himself. He's playing Miami. Miami's coming out of Coors. A lot of people believe in the Indy Coors effect, they called it. Meaning, when you're in Colorado, in Denver, you're dealing with the high altitude, which helps the ball carry, but the air is also just thinner in general. So the theory is that people get comfortable or they get used to it after a few days of being there in the series. And their first game back in that thicker weather, usually a little groggy. That's the theory. Regardless of whether or not you believe that, Miami is not a good offense. Musgrove looks great. San Diego is a pretty fine pitching park, so it was really hard to argue against Joe Musgrove in any format as an SP2 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's competing with ownership with these other players. I get it. But on DraftKings, really tough to argue. I think the preferred cash game pitchers will be Peralta, Musgrove. And on FanDuel, you could pick one of the two, I guess, also. After that is a pretty significant drop-off, in my opinion. We're going to move on to top offenses. First up, the Brewers. We talked about the wind potentially blowing out. We'll want to keep an eye on that. They will face Alec Mills, who's got a 16.4% K rate, a 4.4 Sierra, 4.26 xFIP. The one thing is he does have a really strong ground ball rate, 54% ground ball rate, and his hard contact rate is not that high. So he's got a couple things going for him, but either way, I think the Brewers appear to be in a really good spot on paper. They got plenty of lefties. Yelich, I think I've seen Yelich should be back, right? I think he's back. So, expect them to get some attention. The Yankees have like a 5.5 implied run total. The Yankees are on the road against Carlos Hernandez in Kansas City, one of the better pitching parks out there, so we'll want to pay attention to the weather there. Carlos Hernandez is kind of interesting, right? His xFIP and Sierra are not great, but his 28% K rate's like pretty strong. I think if there was one pitcher you wanted to take a shot on for cheap for SP2s, maybe it's him. But again, that by no means is that an endorsement, right? We got to do a little more digging. But I mean, the 28% K rate says it all, right? If you're going to take a shot on a really cheap guy. And then there's one other pitcher I guess we can discuss in the what things to watch. But the Yankees should be a pretty popular offense nonetheless. Rizzo is on the COVID list. That's a pretty big blow. The Reds for DraftKings, Sam Hentages has not looked very good. It looks like he's been a little unlucky. 4.10 BABIP is extremely high. League average somewhere around 300. So he's been really unlucky. But his ex-Whip and Sierra tell us that he's not good by any means. The Reds haven't been as good against lefties though. Just to kind of compare. Plus they're on the road. Remember they typically play in a very small park. Cleveland is like a average mediocre size ass park. Cincinnati at 109 WRC plus against righties. 340 wobble, 185 ISO. Against lefties, they have an 89 WRC plus, a 151 ISO, and a 23.6% K rate. It doesn't necessarily make sense when you look at some of the guys like Nick Castellanos, Aquino, Tyler Stevenson, some of the righties, Jonathan India, who's been really good for them. But on the season, they have not performed well against lefties. That's the bottom line. So there's a drawback there, but again, I think that they'll be somewhat popular. Then we got the White Sox. The White Sox, Mr. Bo Burrows, who is supposed to be the opener. Now, I never fully trust these situations when the opener, sure, because that's the guy listed as a starting pitcher. But anytime we have a probable long reliever, I have a hard time trusting it. Now, according to DraftKings, the probable long reliever is supposed to be Charlie Barnes, who is a lefty. And who has not looked so great in his, major league appearances so far. Now, he has thrown 80 pitches. He threw 80 pitches against Cincinnati. Gave up 5 earned runs. This got shellacked, but they kept him in there. Now he gets an opportunity against the White Sox. If this happens to be the case, we know the White Sox, one of the better teams in the league against left-handed pitching with a 110 ISO and a 172. I'm sorry, 170. My bad, a 172 ISO and a 110 WRC plus. And even if it's a righty, really, the White Sox still have a 108 WRC plus. Their power has been down a little. Not the best park for hitting, but basically, we're looking at either a bullpen game for Minnesota, whose bullpen not so great at the moment for a team that's not really, is in sell mode, I guess. And the best case scenario, it is that guy who's been terrible and is a lefty, and we do some dirty. So the White Sox also looking very strong, right? Very strong as an offense, I think. John B, what's happening, bro? Let's see. All right, what to watch? Let's see. Zach Thompson. MLB probables, I don't think has confirmed it as of now, but I know a couple places, including FanDuel and DraftKings, seem to think it's going to be him. Sierra and XFIP, since he got sick, he's come back and his numbers have taken a dip, and he doesn't have the massive sample, so every game is going to affect his numbers somewhat dramatically. He is playing a Padres team that's missing Tatis. That's good for them, but they still got some good hitters. He's a possibility, though. He's cheap. He has strikeout upside. He's got a decent park. So I think Thompson's at least an option for tournaments, or at least something to consider if you want. And if not, if you're not into that, the Padres are going to be very low owned. So that's something to keep an eye on, see which way it goes. And then Jameson Taillon. So Kansas City, same situation, right? Taillon's numbers aren't anything too great. Pretty similar outside of the ERA, pretty similar to Zach Thompson. Massive fly ball rate for Taillon, but again, this is a big ass park, and it's Kansas City. We know Kansas City, not a great offense, right? Against righties, they have an 85 WRC plus, a 296 WOBA, a 143 ISO, only a 22% K rate, so they do a good job of being pesky. But those are just kind of two spots that are just kind of like, what do I want to do there? Not quite sure. But the rest of the slate seems pretty straightforward. It's going to be a matter of balancing ownership. And using some game theory in combination with finding players in the right spots, and let the dirties be done. Dong watch, and we're out of here. That's how that goes. Tim Anderson. Well, I'm hoping we get the lefty, but even if we don't, I still like Tim Anderson. I like the White Sox spot in general. We'll go Christian Yelich, who I think will end up being fairly popular, but we'll go Christian Yelich for the sake of the old obvious. right? And then Nick Castellanos, man. I know the Reds have been struggling against lefties, but he's someone who the team will kind of lean on against a lefty, and he's back from injury, and maybe he can get going against a bad lefty. We'll go with him. Sean V says Adam Frazier's locked in at the plate. I watched him at the Padres game. He's cheap on DraftKings. Wish he had more power though. Yeah, absolutely. That's always a negative, right? But those kind of players, I feel like you have to stack because they so rarely hit home runs that if they do well, it's typically doubles, somebody hitting him in, or him hitting someone else in. So he's not like a player I love to one off. Not saying you can't do it, obviously. Stolen bases and shit like that happen. Home runs do happen, but anyway, Nation, I appreciate those of you hanging out with us. May you do dirties on the MLB slate. I wish you all to do very many dirties, drop very, very, very many dirties. That being said, please hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. We appreciate all support. Leave some comments. Love hearing back from you guys, whether it's live or after the fact. Love going back and reading some of the feedback, whether it's on the show or just your thoughts on the slate. We love hearing from you. That being said, for myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.